Please let me know how I'm sounding. I can see that Pygmy Sneezes, Petzotics, Frank the Tank, Marimba Girl are here, so awesome. And possibly some others. There's Laura Philippi here as well. I'm going to put this, let's see, try to put this maybe right here so I can get ready. So, let's see, can everybody hear me on the stream? Am I coming through? I hope so. I've got some giant canyons to sort through and look for the individuals that I want to separate, for the pied individuals. So if I see anything unusual here, I have to keep my eyes on the small ones as well as the large ones. There's lots and lots in here, so I'm going to take a look. So Melanie Kim can hear me, Marimba Girl can hear me, there's Snailientologist, excellent. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this into this other bin here. What I'm attempting to do is increase the likelihood that I can breed some pied individuals. So I'm trying to separate them out. I see one right now, actually. I see one right now. Can I get to it? And I'm going to put him in that plaster deli cup right here. You can see this one has, let's take a close look at it. Oh, look, underneath you can see it's also pale. It's not just on the top. That's very interesting. It's got this pale patch on the side of its body. I'll zoom in on that for a second. One of the pied individuals. We really want to see if this is genetic or not. May not be, but we'll see. So Chesapeake Reptiles, welcome. Laura Taylor, Sean Meister, Theropod Hunter, welcome as well. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody. Gonna put that right there, so you can take a look and see. Right now I don't see any of the pied individuals on this piece of cork bark, so I'm going to put this cork bark, well, is that true? It's a different piece of cork bark with more Porcellio dilatatus on it. I'm going to gently set that down on top of this piece, see if they will do me the pleasure of moving themselves. And I can dig through the substrate a little bit here, see what we see. If I see normals, I'm just going to be moving them over. And if I see pied individuals, I'll be putting them in the little plaster deli cup. Let's see, what do we got? Chesapeake went to California and found some Eleotis armata. I love that species. It's a great one of the desert tenebrionid beetles. I have kept that species. I like them a lot. I don't think I currently have any. Oh, there's that individual that is apparently leucistic. Love this one. I don't know which one I'm more excited about, honestly, getting this giant canyon, white giant canyon with dark eyes, or if I'm the pied ones. I hope to do both. I mean, that would be the plan, right? See if I can get both. But we'll see. See what we find, right? Be really fun. Okay, so Cloud 9. How do I cycle my Daphnia tank when I'm not using a filter? My experience has been with Daphnia that you don't necessarily need to cycle them like you would fish. They work differently. They do breathe from gills, but they seem to be pretty tolerant. And this may vary by the Daphnia type and so on, but I've heard other people talk about it too. I typically don't cycle a Daphnia tank in the same way. I just start out with a small number, feed sparingly, slowly build up the population, and they seem to do fine that way. So if you said you don't have a filter, so you're just doing a tank without, I don't use filtration beyond biological filtration. I don't use mechanical filtration with Daphnia either, but I do use light aeration in some of my tanks. The ones where I want to get high yield, I do light aeration but without an air stone so that the bubbles are coarse. They're not very fast moving, but they're coarse, meaning you might get 1 or 2 bubbles per second to get some light current moving, circulate the water, get the food, the particulate matter that is really important for Daphnia in the water column, get that out there. But fine bubbles can cause them to, the fine bubbles can lodge inside their carapace because they have kind of an open carapace, can lodge in there, trap them at the surface, whereupon they die. So I don't recommend fine bubbles like you'd get from a really nice air stone. Just I leave the hose, I weight the air hose or air line, I just weight it with a PVC elbow is what I've been using lately. Drill a hole in that PVC elbow, stick it through there, and then the PVC elbow sinks. So does the air stone, the air line, and just use that. I also have a jar, I have a gallon jar in which I raise Daphne with no aeration. It's just a super low tech setup. I just use a large straw to stir the substrate on occasion. Well, when I'm feeding typically, I'll put a little food in there. See, there's a nice pied individual too. This one's almost half pied, which you can tell from the bottom and the top. Not quite half, but it's close. So far we're at 2 pied individuals and 1 apparent leucistic individual with those nice dark eyes.
Are you doing live stream?
Yep.
It's about to start.
I'm streaming.
Right now.
Yeah, that's okay.
Hello, folks.
My wife Kelly says hi, everyone. You can probably hear her. I hope you can.
The music off in the
I am not hearing the music. If anybody at home is hearing the music, let me know so that YouTube doesn't demonetize us or kick us off. But I'm not hearing it. Let's see. So I'm missing people. Yotaro's here. Bitten by Geckos is here. Isopod breeder in Sweden. Welcome. So, should we try zooming in on these pied individuals as I collect them? Maybe that's going to be more interesting for you. I don't know, visually. Maybe. Is that going to make them crawl out? That's going to make them crawl out. What am I thinking about? Let's try that. And you can view the pied individuals. So nobody's hearing the music. Good. So I've heard of some people using duckweed Cloud9. I don't in my Daphnia tanks. That doesn't mean you can't. I've heard of people doing it. I just never have, so I don't feel like I can confidently tell you that it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. But I've heard of people doing it. So I think one of the main reasons why I don't do it, because I have duckweed, is because I feel like any tank when I'm selling Daphnia or any tank when I'm just feeding off Daphnia or whatever, I'm going to run the risk of, quite a high risk, in fact, of causing a Daphnia infestation in that tank. So I don't use duckweed with them. I ship Daphnia all over the country. I sell them locally, and I don't want to deal with that, so I don't. I haven't found it to be a big problem either. I change the water. I do a water change about once a week. Once in a while I miss a week, but that's what I do, and it seems to work. So I'm not worried about the nitrates, particularly as long as I'm changing water. Seems to help. And maybe I'm taking an overly simplistic view of it, but that's how I do it. Seems to work really, really well. So, Marimba Girl, this is indeed the pied. These individuals are pied, but it has not been confirmed that this trait is genetic in their case. The idea here is to isolate them so that they get there, so that we can determine whether or not it is a genetic trait. That's what we're hoping for. So fishing through here, have now confirmed 4 individuals with reduced pigmentation. That's what we're looking at. Emily Wilson's here. Great to see you as well. Let's see, Theropod Hunter. Paragoniscus are identical to Armadillidium, but they're aquatic. How cool would that be? I've kept aquatic isopods before, but not one that looks like Armadillidium. So can they conglobate on everything? Cloud9, oh, you're welcome. I think if you have a good strain of Daphnia, you should be able to get them going. and doing really well, but you don't necessarily need to worry about. I mean, they seem really tolerant of water quality as long as you're changing the water frequently. That seems to just kind of energize them in terms of breeding and health and stuff. So Pet Zotics, we're hoping that we'll get a new breed of isopods out of this, a new morph. We do have pied isopods of various types right now in the hobby already. Like Silisticus convexus is one. We have some pied Porcellio Those are a couple that jump out at me. There's pied Armadillidium paraci. So there are lots of pied individuals out there, or pied species, some of which are producing true breeding morphs. Those are just a few of them. This is a really nice specimen. I would say that one's slightly more than 50% reduced pigmentation. So if we can get this going, I think it would be fantastic. So, oh, now we have 19 likes. So it's thank you. Who was that? That was Frank the Tank for bringing that up. The like spikes are always helpful. Basically, the algorithm loves it when you like a video and is going to share it with more people when you do. If you share it, if you share the video, I hear that that's even better. I mean, the like is good. Please do like it. But if you like post a link to this video somewhere or something, then it goes nuts. So, I mean, don't post it anywhere it would be inappropriate to post it. Like if there's a place where it's against the rules, or just spamming your friends who aren't interested in isopods, I mean, that's not good. I don't recommend that at all. But if there's someone who, or some place where you think this would be a good thing to do, you could share this, and the YouTube algorithm would eat it up. Be good for it. Share it with more people. Okay, I got to check this individual out that I'm looking at here. It seems like it might be pied, but I just got to get a better look. Nah, I think that was just wishful thinking. It's just a normal one. I'm really going to try to show these pied specimens just a little better, because I want to showcase them as we're digging. So welcome, Emily. I'm really happy to see you back. Glad you could join us this time. It has been a while, hasn't it? Lucas Rodriguez, welcome. Tara, is it Damer? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but hello. Isopod pie, why not? Yeah, well, one of my favorite pied expressions is Ukraine pied, but that's a great one. They have really interesting markings. But another favorite of mine now is the orange pied scaber that Derek Niehaus sent me. I've got a start from him, and they are breeding, not surprisingly because they're scaber, but you know, sometimes it takes them a little while to just get going, but they are breeding. Pretty soon they'll probably be going crazy, I'm hoping. I'll just make sure I keep on top of husbandry and stuff, and that usually gets scaber really going. Sometimes they'll do fine even when you don't, but you know what I mean? It'd be really nice. So yeah, Emily, I get it. Life happens. It's been happening a lot to me lately too, and it's been kind of rough. I finally feel like I'm starting to get back into the swing of things, being able to do live streams more consistently and all that. So, but I hear ya. Sure. Let's see. Oh, TJ Umbrella, also known as Invertebrate Dude, is going to be on ISO Buddies tonight. What is he talking about this time? Do you know, Frank? I was just, I've been messaging back and forth with Josh quite a bit lately, but I haven't talked to him about what he's doing tonight, I don't believe. So I would be interested in finding out. Oh, Theropod Hunter, high yellow gestoy with a red skirt. That sounds pretty gorgeous to me. If you could have that in an aquarium, are they freshwater? Because how cool is that? Michael Nichols, great. Well, thank you, Emily. I appreciate that. Assassin bugs. We're doing assassin bugs. Okay. I like assassin bugs. I have a little population of milkweed assassin bugs right now. You may have seen them on the channel. They're fun. Hopefully I get this next generation going. I had some captive bred nymphs sent to me by Kyle from Roach Crossing, and they grew up, produced a ton of eggs, and those eggs produced a good number of babies, and those babies grew up, and those babies laid eggs, and now I have some of that next generation showing up, but I'm not sure this generation is doing as well as the previous ones. Did I say milkweed bugs? No, I said milkweed assassins, right? Okay, yeah. So they're milkweed bugs and they're milkweed assassins. They are similar. They look similar. It's probably a case of mimicry because the milkweed bugs sequester toxins from the milkweed plant, much the same as monarch caterpillars do, if I understand correctly. But the milkweed assassins don't have that sort of toxin because they don't eat the milkweed, but they do have a venomous bite. Not medically significant or anything, but enough that it's a case of Mullerian mimicry rather than Batesian mimicry. That's my understanding of the situation, at least. So, pretty cool. Now we're getting down to smaller numbers of these. Did I just put one in there that was pied? I hope not, because then if I did, I put it in the wrong place. Oh, thank you, Michael. I'll keep that in mind for sure. I appreciate the offer. And about the orange Dalmatians. Yeah, monarchs definitely have the toxins from the milkweed. I was thinking, I'm pretty sure that the milkweed bugs too do as well, the ones that eat the seeds. Zero Coon Ninja is here as well. Okay, several of you have shared. I appreciate that. We've got 28 likes now, which is good, coming along there. 25 viewers at the moment. Not bad. More likes than viewers. Not sure how it happened, but it did. We'll take it, right? Probably because some people had to leave or whatever. Whoa. Snaeleontologist. Messina assassin bugs in New York. They look just like stick bugs with raptorial arms. That sounds fantastic. I mean, how cool is that? Looks like a stick bug, but it's an assassin bug. I haven't worked with that species, so I don't feel like I could tell you, or that taxon, that family, I don't feel like I could give you anything that would be specific enough to be useful, because I don't, the only assassin bugs I've worked with are the milkweed assassins and to a lesser extent the masked hunters, much lesser extent. I have kept masked hunters for short periods of time and fed them and whatnot, but that's about it. I haven't bred them or anything. The only ones I've bred for more than, bred at all, are the milkweed assassins, the zealous longipes. But I wish you luck with those. I hope you can get those going. That would be really cool to find some of those and get those into the hobby. How big are they? I'm really curious. I am absolutely amazed by phasmids. I would love to keep phasmids, but you have to be super careful about it because there are a lot of species you can't ship across state lines without a certified aphis containment facility, which I currently don't have. And so I have to limit myself to species I can find in the state. I know of 2 species I can find in my state, Parabacillus hesperus and Parabacillus coloratus. I have seen Parabacillus hesperus in an adjoining state, Arizona, but I have not seen any here, although I have heard and found reports of them. I did that once, Zero Cool, with Pseudolucanus mazama, I collected some adults in July a few years ago. I think was it 2020 maybe? I don't know. Could have been 2020. Somewhere around there. And brought them home, put them on some substrate, and got larvae. I got, I think, quite a few larvae, but I wasn't really sure what I was doing either. Ended up with about 3 or 4 larvae, and some of which reached adulthood. I didn't get any really nice major males or anything, but I did get a couple of adults. They just weren't great adults from that. So I have very limited experience, and I would say even more limited success raising them. I've since learned a few things about how to do it, and I would like to try again every year in July when the collecting season comes up. I know a really good place to collect Pseudolucanus mazama here, not far from here. It's like an hour from my house, and it's an excellent place to collect them. But it always comes to the day, and then I can't. Like this year, I was sick, really sick, on the 4th of July, so it wasn't happening. And most of the rest of that month, well, I would say actually all of the rest of that month, I was sick to some degree. There were times when I felt better and whatnot, but I was in recovery much of that month. Had a few little adventures, and I kind of had a little island of feeling better, and did some things for a little while, but then started feeling worse again, and so it wasn't a great month. And that's the peak month to collect them in my state. So it didn't work out for me all that well. So theropod hunter, yeah. In Europe, there's not a ton of regulation on phasmids. They're highly regulated here in the U.S. by APHIS, understandably, because there are places in the country where they could pose huge threats to agriculture. I think that's there are places where it is less so, but the whole country kind of gets treated like any place in the country could be. But anyway, at least it's an overabundance of caution and not letting them run amok, I guess. But there are places in Europe where they are not regulated and they seem to be doing okay and not causing big problems, which I think is awesome. If I ever go live in Europe again, I'll be keeping some phasmids while I'm there, and I really hope I can get hold of some Parabacillus hesperus or coloratus. I don't really care which species, because I can find them both in my state here locally and get breeding them. I have the evergreen bramble, the Himalayan blackberry or evergreen bramble, whatever you want to call it. I have some in my yard, a couple of big patches of it, so I could really keep them going during the winter with very few issues. I also have various rose bushes and other things that they would eat, so it would be very easy for me to raise them. And in fact, years ago, I found that we had Himalayan bramble and started spreading it to different spots in the yard. Well, just one different spot in the yard, and now I sort of regret it because it is kind of weedy and it's spread to places we didn't want it. But if I had phasmids, I could keep it under control pretty easily. You know what I'm saying? Find a Phidippus adumbratus. I'm not sure where to find one of those. I know that Bugs in Cyberspace has been working with some species of Phidippus that aren't common in the hobby, and you could check with them and see what they've got. They're definitely branching out a bit. "2 inches long," Snaeleontologist. That sounds pretty awesome. Not as big as some of the phasmids. I mean, there are some huge phasmids out there. Still big enough to be cool, big enough to be visible, big enough to be impressive, That's very cool, even if they are cryptic to some degree. Theropod hunter, there's one with spider plant camouflage, meaning it can camouflage itself on a spider plant. I want to make sure I understand correctly. That sounds cool. Mojo Zoo, you got a new hognose snake. That sounds fantastic. Super cool. What kind? Bitten by geckos. Forgot to say I like the bob short really much. I'm glad you like that. We actually had a convention, a fan convention, whatever you call them. It's like Comic-Con, but it's not Comic-Con. It's called Salt Lake Fan X. And we had one this past weekend, and I was there, and I was dressed as Bob Russ again. It was pretty cool. And my wife was wearing a shirt that says, "Pretend I'm a happy little tree." It was a green shirt with a tree shape on the front, and inside the tree shape it said, "Pretend I'm a happy little tree." So it was cool. We had fun with that. A lot of people came up to take pictures and whatnot with Bob Ross. Oh, a snow. Nice, Mojo. Mojo Zoo. That's cool. Okay, I'm still sorting through. Hopefully nobody's getting extremely bored with watching the giant canyons here, the pied giant canyons. I'm going through still, trying to dig up any other individuals that might be pied, and I think this might be all we have. I think this is the number I found initially. I'm hoping some of the young ones in here have this trait too. So theropod hunter, when you say spider plant coloration, do you mean like the variegated spider plant or the solid green spider plant? Super curious about this. Sorry about all the vehicles going past the house. Thank you, Bitten by Geckos. That's awesome. You know the weird thing about that is, I looked Bob up, and unless I have my math wrong, Bob was only 3 years older than I am now when he passed away. Tragedy. And I'm not old. I don't consider myself old, so that's kind of crazy. It's far too young to pass away. So Marimba Girl has an A-male hog nose. It's awesome. Yotaro, remind me what kind of hogs you have. You've got hogs, right? We've talked about it before. I just don't remember what kind you've got. Okay, well, I think we're getting to the point where I can go ahead and put some more leaf litter in this other bin and leave these larger, older, pied and potentially leucistic giant canyons. Oh wow, so it sounds like it was matching the variegated spider plant. That's so cool. Okay, what I really need to do, I don't know. I think I'm making a decision right now. The proverbial executive decision not to put these guys back in with, I'm going to moisten that down just a bit, not to put them back in with the others. I'm going to isolate them. Not talking about genetic isolation yet, just talking about physical isolation for the time being, till I figure out exactly what I'm going to do. But we'll see. I think that's probably wise, and I'm just going to let these guys there we go. Okay. I hate to watch his videos because it makes it look easy, and it wasn't. I can understand that. He does make it look easy. Lucas, you found some isopods near a mangrove in Brazil. Can't identify the species. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to grab some more isopods. I'll be right back. Ooh, sorry, everybody. Just bumping into stuff. I'm going to cover up these giant canyons. And put some of these guys down here. See what we've got. Gonna take a peek at the armadillidium, not the armadillidium, the armadillo officinalis, orange crush. Wanted to see how they were doing. Give them something to eat. Refresh their leaf litter. Looks like they have some, but need a little bit more leaf litter. They're cool. I've never heard mine stridulate that I can recall. They kind of do look like little nuts when they congregate, don't they? Can totally see that. Got some pretty big specimens in here. It's an older culture. Well, not older, but it's a pretty big specimen. They're kind of huge. How long have I had these? Ashley sent these to me in 2022. So, they're pretty well established. They've been breeding pretty steadily. They're fairly densely populated in this culture. Whenever I lift up something, I find them. There's still springtails going in. I know you can't see the whole bin, but there's some more over in that corner up there. There are quite a lot in there. They look so edible. I don't think it's a weird thing to say. I think a lot of people feel that way. We just don't always talk about it. But you know what I'm saying? I do think that's true, that people, yeah, they can live to be 9. I've heard that too. Dippin' Dots. Do I use any of the commercial isopod foods? Yes. I've used commercial isopod chow, Supreme isopod chow, the most, I think, of all of them. And I like it a lot. I've used, let's see. I've had people send me, isopod chow to try out, and I don't want to leave anybody out. But I've been trying this one out lately because Incog Inverts sent me some of this, the pill diet. And it seems to be working well. They like it. It's another powdered form of food. I just gave, I don't know if you can see that, I just gave some to these officinalis here. There are several others I want to try out too. The Liquid Dirt sent me some, and I want to try that out as well. Yeah, I'm not sure about the edibility of all crustaceans. They may be, I don't know, but there are some with some pretty aposematic coloration, but that doesn't mean a whole lot. I don't know. So Marimba Girl, I have the Montenegros, I have the Montenegro Orange, I have had Dubrovniks, and that's all for the clowns. Well, no, I guess I've had the purples too. Or what do they call those? Purple puddings? I guess I've had that. Sorry, this is super boring to look at this when you can't see isopods, huh? So let's move it. I'm going to get something else. But I really like the Montenegro the best, and then it's a toss-up between the Dubrovnik red phase and the Montenegro orange. So let me switch these out. So the purple puddings, and you know, I have to deal with the fact that I am partially colorblind, so I don't know what they look like to other people, but honestly the purple puddings, oh, it looks like that got kind of shaken a little bit. The purple puddings are not my favorite because the red's gone. And the red is my favorite thing about them. So I'm not a big fan of those, but you know, anyone who likes them, I'm not faulting you for liking them. I think that's fine. But they're not my favorite. Klugei skeletons, I've heard of them. I think I've seen pictures or video of them, but I don't remember what they look like, to be honest. So, S.C. Isher, well, thank you. Is that a reference to M.C. Escher? Just wondering. Well, that's true, Snaeleontologist. If we're looking at pen crustacea, then we have tons of poisonous and even venomous crustaceans. I guess I was thinking of in the until recent, fairly recent phylogenetic, or the phylogeny indicating that insects are crustaceans. I was thinking prior to that, I guess, but you're right. That's a good point. So let's take a look at these if we can. They're super hard to see. These are one of the most difficult isopods to get photographic evidence of because they're super fast. And they take off super fast. Those are Florida fast. This is a fairly new culture. Seems to be doing well, but I don't get to see it much because they disappear. They're all over in the substrate. When I dig in it a little bit, I can see them digging around. I just saw a ton. Now they're all hiding. So, Florida fast, Atlantosha floridana. Difficult to see. They like it very moist. They're very fast. I need to make a care guide video on these. I've kept them before I got these, so I wouldn't make a care guide video if I'd only been keeping them as long as I had kept this group of them, because that wouldn't be too long. Because I've only had this group since February. All right, so, but I started keeping them years ago, so there's that. I was going to show you, yeah, someone asks about Cubaris murina. I have some, Lucas. I do. Let me grab some. Thank you for joining, Emily. Let's see how the Cubaris morina papaya are looking. Got a colony of those. I have four different types of Cubaris morina. I have the wild types, I have papaya, I have glacier, and I have anemone. So this is for Lucas. Oh, a remipede with venom. Cool. Remipede basically means oar foot, if I'm not mistaken. Like the oars you use to paddle a canoe with, that kind of oar. And they use their feet to swim, not surprisingly. And they were considered like one of the earlier transitional forms between aquatic crustaceans and land crustaceans, I believe, if I'm not getting that wrong. Tylos. I've heard of them, William. I've never kept them. I've heard that they die after one reproductive event. Kind of our strategists there. But that's about all I know about them. They get fairly large. And they conglobate, I think, and that's about all I know. So I don't have any of the Marulinella currently, the really brightly colored Marulinella. I do have some brightly colored ones, but not those. They're very cool, though. Eliza Ann, welcome. The desert Cubaris hard to keep and breed. I have not worked with any of the desert cubaras at all, so I'm not sure. I have kept at least this species seems to be true cubaras, and other species that have been labeled cubaras and probably aren't, at least many of them are not. But I have not worked with any of the desert ones. So yeah, this is my my Cubaras Marina papaya setup. One thing about the isopods I keep, I'm trying to mostly keep the collection to things I can ship, and I can't ship a lot of the fancy stuff like Marillonella, unfortunately. I really like how they look, but I can't ship them. Don't have the permits for that. Just sad. Let's see, what's this one? Nothing. Gonna grab another one. Here is another one I wish I could ship. I cannot, alas, ship this one either. I really wish I could. I'm going to check it out all the same. Super striking. Shall we take a look? These are Gestroy Zingers. Such gorgeous isopods. Not colorful per se, they got the black and white and gray going on. They're certainly beautiful. They're large, they're fairly bold. Their pattern is certainly bold. Armadillidium flavoscutatum looks so much like Klugai. There's a morph that looks like a rubber ducky with an orange head. Cool. I'd love to see that. Yeah, these are decently sized, and they get bigger. I don't have any in here that are like maximum size, but some of them are, like this one here is getting fairly large, but it's not by any means as big as they get. So they get big. So William Dye, I just released a video on Christ Armadillidium auricatum. Used to keep them, ended up selling off my culture locally because I couldn't ship them. But I liked them a lot. They were pretty easy to care for, and I just released a care video on them. In collaboration with someone who currently has them. I kept them long enough so I feel like I was confident, but I didn't have any. I kept and bred them, long enough so I felt like I was confident in their care, but I didn't have any, and so Invertebrate Dude does have them and has had them for quite a while, and so we did a collaborative care guide video on them. So these are Armadillidium gestroy, and the cultivar or morph is Zingers. These were isolated by Ractastic Rax, a gecko breeder who had some of these, isolated them, and offered to send me some. When I think I saw an Instagram post from Ractastic and said, "Ooh, these are beautiful." I said, "Oh, I'll send you some." So it was awesome. Love these. This species, not just the Zingers morph, but the species would be my top recommendation and are still among my top recommendations for first isopod. It's just the only problem is, technically they're not supposed to ship across state lines unless you have a containment facility. But you can often get them locally, so there's that. So SC Isher, my rubber duckies I'm putting on the BioLives bioactive substrate lately. I've tried several, and I've had success with several, but that's the one I've been using lately. It seems to work really well. BioLives. Okay, I'm grabbing some other isopods here. What's this one? Did I already look at this one? Nope, this is another Cubaris marina. So we look at some more Cubaris marina. These are the glaciers. So there's like none under there. What the heck? Where are they? Oh, there's a bunch in this corner. Probably a little dry then. I should keep them moist. Oh, there's some dead ones in there. That's not great. I guess they got too dry. I see they're a little bit damp here. I dampened them yesterday. It's not like they're all dead, but I lost some. Not cool. Not cool. The weather changes have been kind of crazy lately. But I do have some I can show you here. Let me just kind of dig in here and get to them. So you can see the live ones get close up. That's no fun at all. I hate it when that happens. There. Collected a couple so you can see. They don't have any color to their eyes. They're just all the way white. A papaya looks kind of like this, but they're a little pinker, and they do have eyes that have some pigment in them, so you can differentiate their eyes easily. But these, it's super hard to see where their eyes even are. So, just put some extra water in there. Cubaris marina doesn't like to dry out. They like a dry area, but well, nothing likes to dry out almost. Nothing isopod-wise can really afford that. But it looks like they got a little too dry, and they can get crispy more easily than some others can. Yeah, you can lose isopods from too dry or too moist, which is sad. And Klugi really don't like to get too wet. This is Santa Lucia, and I'm not sure if it's pure Santa Lucia or not. Still trying to determine that. They're a really cool locality with a lot of cool coloration. See this one that's right in the middle of the screen with a lot of yellow on it? I'm trying to determine if that means it has been intermixed with another form or not. It certainly produces a lot of variety. I love that it produces the white specimens, it produces wild types, it produces high yellows, produces oranges, and I mean just look how gorgeous that is. It's amazing. And this one looks like a Punta Cana, but it's not. It's a Santa Lucia. And hopefully it's a pure Santa Lucia. There's a lot in here. I've noticed the Santa Lucia seem to burrow a lot. The last time I refreshed this substrate in here, I was surprised by how many there were down in the substrate. There were so many. It's like mind-boggling. I'm going to grab some leaf litter here. Top them off. I love how they produce so many different types. The Santa Lucia's polymorphic locality, right? Super cool. Yeah, be kind of heavy on the leaf litter. They're good for them. Can't really give them too much unless you're letting them climb out on it. It's my particular feeling on it. It's hard to do too much leaf litter unless it actually becomes a method of escape. Grabbing some others here. We've looked at two kinds of Cubaris marina. This is a small colony of them, but there are some in here. It looks like I need to refresh the leaf litter. I'm not sure how many we're going to see, but there's some. These are the wild types. They're pretty cool, the wild types, because you can see their uropods are orange. Two little orange spots on their uropods, which is pretty cool. I think not all of them, but most of them have that. So leaf litter time for these guys. They look pretty low on it. You can see some in there, but it's not enough. Not enough leaf litter. Looks like they need some more water too. Getting a little dry in there. There we go. Sorry, that's like zoomed out too much. And let's put these up here. These, I'm going to go ahead and feed these before I reveal what we're looking at. I like these even though they're not terribly showy, so I guess that's a spoiler. Not terribly showy, but these are a highly desert adapted form of isopod. The most highly adapted desert isopod that I know of in the United States, with the possible exception of Venezilo arizonicus. There's one small one. Let's dig in. Probably when I flip this one, I'm just going to see a ton of them. Yep, okay. These are the Porceliolabus sonoran desert. I collected some specimens back last summer of 23, meaning not this past summer. Summer of 23 when I was there with Sky Island Adventures. I was there with Sky Island Adventures, which is also Bugs in Cyberspace, and Jesse Green of Shapes in Nature was also there, and he was working for Shapes in Nature and working with them at that time. And we got to go out in the desert and play. You can see there are specimens of all sizes in here. They're breeding readily. The cool thing is they're desert adapted. They're most aridity tolerant isopods in the bioactive, on the bioactive scene, really. So if you want something really aridity tolerant, this is what you want in there, most likely. They will not do okay in completely bone dry enclosures for very long at all, but they will do much better with lower humidity and with more dryness than most isopods and many other arthropods, in fact. And there are arthropods that can do better than they can, but they do pretty well. And I have them in this enclosure partly because it is highly ventilated. It's got screen top, it's got vented sides, so the cross ventilation is pretty good on here. Top ventilation is great, and it's pretty easy around here since it's so dry for isopods to get too dry. As you saw with the Cubaris marina, they got a little too dry, and look what happened, I lost some. So it's pretty easy. And the other day I ran around frantically thinking, oh, the isopods haven't been watered recently enough, and I watered everything, and I guess I was too late for some of those Cubaris marina, but these guys can weather it really fine. And sometimes it's gotten pretty dry in here where there's just a tiny little bit of moss that's moist in here, and they're all up against that area. They usually choose this adjoining piece here, and they're all under that, not even in a wet spot, but close to it. And they seem to do absolutely fine. So you probably have some of these in southwestern New Mexico, Sean. Probably similar. So Theropod Hunter, when you're asking about morph varieties that rival vulgare, which species are you talking about? So SC Isher, I don't have any fancy spring-tails. I have kept it to the very basic bioactive springtails. I don't have anything fancy. And so with Theropod Hunter, when you say, I mean by amount, do you mean which species? Oh, Santa Lucia. Okay. So they are a vulgare. Santa Lucia is a locality of vulgare. Sorry, I wasn't very clear about that. So I'm going to grab something else now. So somebody, I think it was Lucas, was asking about Cubaris marina, and I've shown 3, and now I'm going to show 1 more of those. This is my favorite so far that I have. Let's see if we can get a look at some of these here. My colony of them was really big, and I sold quite a few off. It was really thriving. I sold quite a few off. I still have enough to get them going again, but I've had to take a break selling them because I oversold. But anyway, they're getting to go again. I just have a harder time finding a big bunch of them to display. But I can, there's a bunch over in this corner here. Let's see if I can get to them. Yeah, just keep them from hiding too much. That's the problem when they're not on a piece of wood. Because they're gorgeous. This is Cubaris marina anemone. Interesting thing is though, see how this one's just solid orange? When I first got this morph, they were pretty much all, well not all, but a lot of them were pied in that they had a like a random dark splotches on them with an orange background. Some were solid orange and some were almost solid dark with a little bit of orange on them and whatever. And now almost all of them are solid orange. Now I'm not going to complain about it, it's really pretty. I like it a lot. But I'm wondering what the heck happened to all the chimerism or whatever it is that makes them have those coloration mix, because I really find the mix attractive and intriguing, and so very few of them in this culture now have it, and I'm not sure why. There are probably some that do, but when I dig around in here gently, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of it. Seeing some babies, so they're doing what they need to do, which is good, but I'm just seeing the orange, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's gorgeous, but I'm not seeing much else. Marimba Girl. I think I do buy them in packs of 100 because that totally works for me. They're cheap. To buy 100, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because I mean, you may not have as many isopod bins as I have, but so maybe it doesn't seem worth it to you, but you can fit a heck of a lot in a very small space. So 100 of them doesn't take up hardly any space, and then you'll be set for years most likely, right? So not necessarily a bad thing to have a ton of them. But if you're interested, you're in the United States, right? If you're interested, I could probably get you a small number of them with an order or something. I don't know. It wouldn't be really worth it to you if I sent them to you, because the shipping to get them to you in one piece would be kind of ridiculous for just shells. But if you were buying, say, isopods with them, I would throw some in for you. Definitely. I could throw in like 10 or something. I wouldn't even charge you for them. Okay, well maybe we can do that. It seems like a good direction to go. My screen's not responding as it should. But yeah, and if you're looking for something specific and it's not on my store front, let me know, isopod wise. I mean, it has to be of the approved species, but if you're not finding it, just let me know, because I might have it. I haven't updated my shop lately, and I need to. So just ask. I might have it, even if it's not there. It might be in stock, or might not even be listed. But it just has to be among the species that I keep. You know what I mean? And there are some that I do have, and you'll see on this channel, that I can't sell, like these, because I oversold them, and now I just basically have a starter culture, which is crummy. Or these, which I think are going to be the last ones we see today. These, because I'm just getting to the point where I'm going to upgrade a bin to something larger. I upgraded this bin, when was it? In August. I put them in this bin from a smaller bin, and they are now getting to the point where I could put them in like a 16 quart. So I'll probably do that soon. These are the Porcelli Lavis How Now. True Lavis. Look a little like a dairy cow milkbecky sort of thing, but they're not the same species as dairy cow milkbeck. They are true Lavis. These were isolated by Kyle of Roach Crossing, and he sent me some specimens back in November, and they have been doing really well. You can see the springtail colonies booming there. Looks like the leaf litter needs to be augmented. Definitely. They go through it pretty fast. And if you haven't seen my recent posted video, it's actually about crossing these with oranges, which has been done before successfully, to create Colby Jacks. So I'm replicating that. I have a bunch of tiny baby hound owls with one tiny orange, so I can eventually produce some Colby Jacks. I'm super excited about that. So stay tuned for that. Colby Jacks have the white expression, but they have the orange expression underlying it rather than the caramel expression, which is what you see here. I really like the effect of the caramel expression. I think creating some with that, just imagine that being orange with the white, which is very similar to what I wanted to produce when I wanted to cross milkbacks with oranges. It would be a very, very similar effect. Not exactly the same, but quite similar. And that's what I would like to do. So that's what we're working on. And there's some photos of them in the video because Derek Niehaus, who produced them, was kind enough to let me use the footage of them and you can see what they would look like. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it out. It's about time for me to go. So thank you for joining, everyone, and we will catch you later. I have a first Friday feeding video this time, and it's probably not what you would expect, so keep an eye out for that. Take care, everyone.